Anyway, you going on about your big stars, your Elvis and your Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Will Young's filling the stadiums. He came to
Tommy Boyds on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
I'm just coming in, so...
Well, hurry up, we're on air. What are you doing?
I know. I'm just changing the lighting. Evening.
You
look
okay?
well. Right, email. Our email address is tommy.boyd@bbc.co.uk, and Alison is going to be splitting her time this evening between being on the radio...
Yeah.
And then going next door and watching X Factor.
Yeah, I love the X Factor. Oh,
Okay.
You're not one of these old moaning minis.
Hey.
Oh, no, I don't like reality TV.
Less of the old and less of the moaning and less of the mini. In fact, less of it.
So what would you rather watch? Panorama? Well, I'd watch something proper on the box.
I don't watch Panorama, no. I don't watch television very much. I'm very selective. I like good comedy, like Frasier.
Yeah.
And I like sport. I like my sport.
Yeah.
And if there's something good on, I watched a documentary about Michael Ryan, who went crazy in Hungerford. Something that I remember very vividly. Probably you're too young.
I remember.
So I watched that.
Yeah.
So I'm very selective, but I don't like I don't like these sorts of programmes.
What, you don't like reality TV shows, or you just don't like talent shows?
No, I don't like talent shows. Oh, you're absolutely well done. I didn't realise what I didn't like until you pointed it out.
Right.
I don't like talent shows.
Why not?
No, why not? I feel too much for the people who are on them. But it's an unnatural channel of development for a person who claims they're remotely talented. What the rest of us had to do, he said, assuming that he is remotely talented, is go and slog your guts out in spit and sawdust, buckets of blood and knives and spittoons, beer bottles flying everywhere, places where nobody's paying you a blind bit of attention, and gradually you learn how to get a little bit of attention and the odd laugh. And then onward. That's how you do it. You don't. This is so artificial.
But it's not, because they have done that.
No,
they have worked in the spit and slaughter. They have done both of those acts in the final tonight. G4 and that Steve. G4 started off busking on the streets. And that guy Steve does all the cabaret circuit. He does the working men's clubs.
And what
He's up there singing while some guy who's had 14 pints of Stella is bearing his bare bottom at him. He's done that. But where's he going to get his break from that? There's not going to be a record executive sitting in the working men's club in Bradford who goes, I tell you what, Steve, I'll give you a record contract. But if he goes on one of these TV shows and wins it, then he will get a record contract. And why is that a bad thing?
I can't believe that somebody who cares about popular entertainment more than I do should actually seek to support a device. That's all it is, a device. It is not a genuine search for star. It's a ratings device which has produced us. I mean, let's look at the people who came through on the strength of their own talent. You've got Elvis. You've got Frank Sinatra. You've got the Beatles. And who've you got, baby? Lena Zavaroni!
You leave Lena out of this.
You're dead in the water.
You leave
You're
Lena
face
out
down
of
in the
it.
ditch.
No.
You've lost the
Not
argument.
at all.
Oh, big time, big time, big time. And I will
Not
say this
at
now.
all.
Anybody who watched that programme tonight is a couple of brain cells above being a moron.
You are so up yourself.
A couple of brain cells up from, you go moron, okay, demi-moron, and somewhere between the two is the X Factor audience. That's me.
You are such a snob. You are so up yourself. You don't even know. What are you on? Well, I can't believe you're saying
It's
this.
trash, it's garbage, it's rubbish. I cannot believe you. I thought you were a bright girl. I thought you probably had some O-levels or whatever you get nowadays, and yet here you sit, just bearing your soul to the world, and what is in there? Candy floss.
I am an
candy
intelligent
floss.
girl. I have a law and politics degree. I have all my GCSEs, all my A-levels. That's nothing to do with this. This is popular culture. This is popular entertainment. Most of the country tonight will have sat down in their living rooms and watched X Factor, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Most of the country will have sat down in their living rooms this evening on the floor.
What's that got to do with the price
The
of
point
fish?
I'm making is that we cannot judge the cultural value of something by the fact that an awful lot of people who drag their knuckles along beside them as they go out into their kitchen for another bottle of window lean to wash down the ground glass that they had for lunch. We can't judge the cultural value of something by the fact that sufficient numbers of them, the demi-moron, enjoys it. Can we?
What you're saying is because you don't see the entertainment value in it, then nobody else is allowed to. If Tommy Boyd,
No.
If Tommy Boyd doesn't enjoy it, then no one else has the right to enjoy it. Well, I'm sorry, Tommy. I don't normally fall out with you, but really,
I am not
on this, I have to take issue.
I am not judging this based on whether or not I find it entertaining. entertaining. The fact that I don't find it entertaining doesn't mean that I think it's rubbish. I saw the greatest movie ever made called The Bicycle Thieves, an Italian movie which is generally regarded as being one of the most powerful pieces of cinema ever put together, and it entertained me not a jot. I snuck out. Right? But I don't say that's bad. I just say that it didn't entertain me. I can tell that it's good, but it didn't entertain me. The X Factor doesn't entertain me, but it ain't The Bicycle Thieves. It ain't good. It ain't telling anybody anything useful. It's even badly lit. It's badly lit. It's flashlit. It's floodlit.
And it's entertainment.
The audience are lit. When do you ever perform where the audience are lit? Why are the audience lit? Right, okay, you're clever. You know you're entertaining. You tell me why the audience are lit on the X Factor.
Because it's about their reaction.
Exactly. It is because it's about the audience. This is a show about the punter.
Yes, but it's about the reaction of everybody involved. That's the whole thing. It's not just a show that you switch on to watch live music. You actually get to know about the people who are performing. You get to know about their families. You get to know about how much it means to them. You get to live that journey with them from the initial audition all the way through. All the heartache, all the pain, all the anguish, you're there with them, and that's what people like. People like to feel that they know the people that they're then watching go on to make it in the charts or whatever. That's the essence of why it works.
Some men keep some magazines under their bed when they're young, free and single. Yeah. I believe that you, as a, and once were, and soon will no longer be, young, free and single woman, kept well-thumbed copies of OK under your bed. Am I right?
I bought a copy of OK magazine today.
We get to know them, says Ferns, for crying out loud.
No.
Get to know what about them? Their height, the fact that they've had their teeth done, the fact that they've had their hair done.
No, this is something different. I'm not talking about reading about Madonna in OK magazine. I'm talking about finding out about 4 young lads from Bognor who have had to slave away to try and make it. That's what I'm talking about. And you watch them and you will them on and you want to see them be a success because you know how hard they've worked for it. You've seen where they've come from. And the other great thing about these shows is that you see people just like yourself and it makes everyone think, well, I could do that. See, look, it can happen.
Well,
it can
again,
happen
there's another
to you.
divide. I do not see people like myself. I do not see intelligent, educated, well-read, sensitive.
How do you know they're not educated and well-read?
I can tell.
How can you tell?
I can tell. I was a teacher. I am a qualified lecturer in the theory of education. A qualified lecturer in English to secondary level. I am a qualified foster parent, a qualified youth worker, a qualified parks play leader, a qualified youth counsellor. I can look at anybody under 25 and I can tell you more about them than they themselves know.
Careful, you sound like Bob Staunton.
They themselves know.
Listen to me, listen. I hope, all I can say is I hope that you are never sat on a jury because you are like one of those people, you can tell he was guilty, his eyes were too close together. You can't tell.
No, wait a minute, please.
You can look at someone and you can know if they're well-read or educated. You don't know that.
Abraham Lincoln said that men get the face that they deserve. And I wouldn't sit on a jury because I would never convict because I disagree with the prison system. So we'll have that conversation another day.
Save that for another time.
Penal reform, that's my kind of conversation, and I know how to make it sexy, okay? But the X Factor, you need to give it some gravitas. I'll give penal reform as a topic some sexy facets, all right? I'll dress it up in a tutu, maybe, put a little hat on it with a peaked cap and a lion tamer's whip. You make X Factor. You give it some gravitas. You give it some beef. You give it some weight. You give it some value, you give it some meaning, some clarity, some worth. Go ahead.
I don't have to. It's not about gravitas. It's about Saturday night entertainment. It's about sitting on your sofa and being entertained and enjoying yourself for an hour, however long it's on. That's what it's about. It's about people interacting as well. The whole thing about X Factor and all of these programmes is that they feel that they have a say in the eventual outcome because they can text, they can phone their votes in. They're taking part in the process, and that's important to people. And anyway, you going on about your big stars, your Elvis and your Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Will Young's filling the stadiums. He came to Now listen, he might...
That's great, up there.
He might end up one day as big as Elvis. You don't know.
I do know.
But we'll never see the likes of Elvis again. The music business has changed. You've got to move on. Get with it.
He wouldn't have gone in a talent show.
Get with it.
08459 Let's not make this...
No. Can I just make one point, okay?
Well, no, because the point I was going to make is this doesn't have to be the last one who finishes talking is necessarily the winner.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yes, go ahead. You make your one point, then.
You always have to have the last word, don't you? Listen.
Degree in law.
People always say, oh, the problem with these stars today, they don't write their own songs, da-da-da. Tell me a song that Elvis wrote. Tell me a song that Frank Sinatra wrote.
Who? What? You can't beat me with somebody else's argument.
Oh, I can.
No, you can't. It shows how good my arguments are if you've got to start accusing me of saying things I've never said.
No, but what's your point? Obviously, you're saying they'll never be like stars.
Sorry, I didn't realise that the tenet of the X Factor is that you have written the songs that you perform.
No, X Factor isn't. But what I'm saying is...
Do any of them write their own songs?
Well, they may well do. I don't know that. But they always perform other people's sons.
Yes.
Fame Academy, on the other hand, they write their own songs.
To write your own songs.
My point is that you're basically saying, and I'm sick to death of hearing people of your generation...
Doesn't she go on?
I'm sick of hearing people of your generation, with all due respect.
There's no due respect in that remark at all.
Saying, the pop stars today aren't like what we used to have. Well,
it's
no, they're not.
Case of
time has moved on.
Aren't what they used to.
So what's wrong with these people who come off these reality talent shows?
Everything.
What's wrong? Why?
Everything.
You don't like their music?
They're not transmitting anything to me in their performance.
Well, all of them. You can say that about every single one of them.
They are flawed people trying to appear without flaw.
Go on then.
And the great thing about the great stars is that the first thing that they do is bear their flaws, display their true, full selves. Was Elvis flawed? Was Frank flawed? Was John Lennon flawed? Yes, and they were prepared to sing about it. And they were prepared to open themselves up, and you could see it in their eyes. We're never going to get a Judy Garland on a talent show like this.
Know?
What?
How do you know? You don't know that.
You can't get those kind of drugs any longer for a start.
Answer me this.
I'm trying to... R.E.M.
There's one last question, right?
Absolutely gagging for it.
Name me someone who has come through one of those TV talent contests. And you can't say Will Young's already told you that one. Name me someone. Well, you're saying that they don't transmit to you. I want to find out if you even know any of them are.
Well, Lena Zavaroni.
You're going back years. Get with it.
What do you mean get with it?
I'm talking about one of the recent ones. Pop Idol. When they did the boy-girl groups. Yeah. Pop Idol, the second series. Fame Academy, X Factor. Name me someone who won one of those programmes. Someone who you just told me a minute ago doesn't transmit to you.
Well, there's the little gay guy still hanging in there.
I said you can't have Will Young. I already told you that.
Oh, was that Will Young? Yeah.
Come on, no. Yeah. You told me that these people don't transmit to you, so I'm wondering which of them you've seen to make that opinion, to make that assumption. Who have you seen before?
I couldn't name you any famous paintings that were done on the basis of paintings by numbers. Right?
What's that got to do with it?
What I'm saying is that of course I can't name you any of the winners of crap talent shows, just like I can't name you the names of any crap painting by numbers. But I can tell you all about the Night Watchman, or Munch's The Scream, or even the Mona Lisa, even though I don't think it's a wonderful painting, because it's a wonderful work of art and wonderful artistry, whether it's in the performing arts or the creative arts, are things that I do pay attention to. But I am proud, I am deeply proud that I cannot tell you the name of one winner of one cheap, cheesy ITV talent show.
But then how can you form an opinion on their performance?
It's always on in the corner because my wife likes it. There. And she always says, oh, he's good. And he's not. He's nobody. He's nobody. It's like a school play. It's the equivalent of a school play, really it is. And I think most of the people... I'm not going on. Well, I am. So I'll stop. R.E.M. are going to give us a burst of losing my religion. Losing the will to live. Here, do email us if you get a moment and you're at your PC. Hello to everybody listening around the world. I've had some stats on just how many people are clued into this show, for whatever reason, all over planet Earth, which is great. And when I say all over planet Earth, I do mean far-flung parts. I don't know what the numbers exactly are, but something like between 4 and 7% of the people who are listening to this show are actually listening all around the world on the internet, which A, means that the BBC has got some massive servers, and B, there's obviously nothing on at the moment in Auckland.
They've got X Factor.
They've got the X Factor. Okay, there are lots of emails coming in about the X Factor. Most of the points, I think, are supporting me, it seems.
Slightly different on the switchboard. We'll get to that in a minute.
Sorry, Paul is agreeing with me, but not about... He says, I have a small willy too. Oh. I should have read the whole thing, shouldn't I?
I've thought of a new reality TV show that you could take part in. You'd win it.
Go on.
Snob Factor. There you would. You wouldn't have any problems winning that one.
You're listening to BBC Southern Counties Radio. I'm the intelligent one, Tommy Boyd. The other's called Allison Ferns. No, I'm just positioning the show.
You don't position it that way, do you?
Positioning the show. You have to. If you're a professional, you just, in case people are just turning, going, what's this?
Yeah.
Two people.
Who's this man talking rubbish?
It's not. It's a man explaining something to a woman.
Oh.
Another email has come in from Lanny. Judging by recent shows, Tommy should be on the knob factor. If it was a minimalist competition, he would win hands down.
Oh, dear.
That's not the hands down thing. I don't know where that's supposed to go. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay. The bulk of people who email this show are nice and concise as well, which is good, because I've worked in places where the emails ramble on and on and on, and then become very vitriolic and poisonous. But this email from David Connolly rambles a bit and says something libellous about the University of Wales. So I'm not going to read that bit out. But he goes on, obviously I have played sport and been in the changing rooms with lots of these types. These are people who attend the international politics course, and he says that they all are not particularly well endowed. He says they have small penises. Why am I beating about the bush here? He then says, do you think there's a link between being right-wing and having a small penis? It's worth thinking through, because I've always had a theory that men who are concerned about the size of themselves are so because they are attracted to women who have to women who have big breasts. This is a theory of my own through often going out with many guys who play rugby and hearing the sort of things that concern and interest them, and they might think that size matters in every respect. It's not something I have a problem with in either department. No, we haven't got any decent music.
No, we don't do that here.
People used to come up to me when I was a mobile DJ and say, "Oi, mate," and you go, "Oh God, yes. You got any good music?" And I always used to think, I'd look underneath and I'd go, oh no. I unfortunately left all the good music in the garage. Yeah, sounds like it. Oh, and away they go. They come up and they want some more headbanging music, which again, is not what people want at discos, because you can't get off to, Black Sabbath, can you?
Not really.
That's for lone men at parties to swing their hair through the air to.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think it's that.
What is it then?
Well, I think they just feel that you'll shout them down and they won't get their say.
I let everybody speak. I don't interrupt people. People come on this radio station, they slag me off, they're viciously rude, they interrupt me all the time, and then they write to the programme controller and say that I am rude and don't let them get a word in edgeways and cut them off. Which is simply untrue.
Yeah,
false.
You don't.
No, I don't. You agree with me?
I agree with you. That's one thing that I'm willing to agree with you on this evening.
I'll bring you round. I bet you by 5-1 you're saying that the X Factor sucks.
No.
What are your thoughts on touching then?
I'm quite a tactile person, but I'm trying to think when it would have been, because when you're younger you don't do all that kissy stuff. You do reach a certain age where people start doing that kissy business when you greet each other and when you leave. I was probably not until I was maybe early 20s did people start doing that kissy business. Up to then you just kind of go, oh hiya, see ya, and that's it. Then you sort of reach your 20s and everyone thinks they're incredibly sophisticated to do the whole kissy business, and at first I did find it uncomfortable.
What we psychologists tell people to do is, if you, for example, a lot of people have difficulty saying no, which is why they give money to every busker, which is why they agree to do every survey, which is why they get pregnant all the time. And what we say is, for a week, go out and deliberately say no to people. Use the word no. Okay? And it works. This one works. And Jeff Pearson, who wants to talk about willies. Tom, I've been afraid of not only making love to women but dating them because of the size of my manhood. The thought that they may laugh is really gut-wrenching. The first sight is a psychological one, the second one a pride. A shame, really, because I'm a really nice guy. It's Jeff in Sheffield.
How did we get onto willies this evening?
It says on one of the many websites that are set up in order to try and kill me that I have a small penis.
Ah, yeah.
So it's gone out into the ether and it's come back as received opinion or whatever, and so now people discuss it. And because I don't want to denigrate people, some men will be upset if I said, I was massive. I've gone along with the idea and said, okay, I'm, probably a bit less than normal. But I understand Jeff's worry on this one.
I don't think Jeff has to worry.
He does. No, he does. He has to worry.
No, see, I don't agree.
You don't watch Sex and the City, do you?
Yes, I do.
Well, there you are then. Ask Samantha.
Yes, but that's Samantha.
Yes.
Not every woman is like Samantha.
Sadly.
Yes, wishful thinking on your part. Definitely.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
but
heaven.
Anyway. Whoa!
Every woman likes Samantha.
Darling.
Yeah,
every woman likes Samantha.
Pardon?
You
It
said.
would be your idea of heaven if every woman was like Samantha.
I thought you said every
Where was
woman
your
likes
mind?
Samantha.
Yeah,
In a
you
very happy
gutter,
place.
yeah.
In a very happy place. All wrapped up in cotton wool with the lights down. That's
Yes.
where it was, I'll tell you. So, does he have to worry?
No.
He does a bit.
No, I don't
He
think
does a bit.
No, I don't think he does.
When I say he does a bit, I mean he does need to get himself some positive thinking on the matter. And not use any of the things that they advertise towards the back of QC and Loaded and those sorts of things. No.
No. My sister used to work at a place.
Yes.
And upstairs, was the factory for those penis extension machines. I once met the man who ran the factory. He was an unusual character. I didn't know that's what he did for a living. And we were out in a bar, and he was asking me about my job and stuff. I said, "Oh, so what do you do?" He says, "Oh, I own a factory that makes penis enlargement machines." And it was difficult to know where to take the conversation after that.
No, surely I would have thought you'd have been there for a couple of hours. I would. I mean, I went to a party once, and there was a crowd around this girl. She was quite attractive, but didn't quite warrant the crowd that she had. And I eventually got back to me what her profession was.
Yeah.
She was a collector of semen for artificially inseminating farmyard animals.
Oh. It's a topic of conversation at any party.
She had a crowd of men around her. They were all fascinated by her every description of how she went about her day-to-day work. And I would have been fascinated to chat to the man about the enlargement machine.
Well,
the first question I would ask
works.
him was, is there a small, medium and large? And if there's a large, why? What do they want? Where are they going? And how does it work? And how did you get into it?
Yeah.
Shall I write you some interview questions next time? Because you bump
Yes,
into
in
it?
case I meet him again.
Shall I write you a link?
He actually admitted to me that it doesn't work. He admitted to me that the machine doesn't work. Basically, he said that he wasn't sure then whether they worked or not, but they offer them with a complete money-back guarantee. It doesn't work. But as what he said, as you're going to say now, is of course nobody is going to send it back.
Well, who's going to use a used one anyway? Huh? What are they going to do with it? They can't repackage it, can they?
No.
Sell it. $9.99, one careful owner.
Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about.
Well,
but no,
don't
back
bring
to
it up
Jeff,
then.
though. Back to Jeff. I really don't think he has that much to worry about.
No.
I really don't.
Yes, he does.
I don't think he does.
He does.
Okay, he needs to stop worrying about it for a start, because I hate to break it to him, but there's nothing he can do about it. It is small, and that's it. He can't make it any bigger. Well, there are operations you can have done now, but I don't think you should go down that route.
But he will worry about it, and so what you need to do is to work out how he worries and what he does about it. I mean, first of all, there are obviously some women who won't mind the fact that he might not be particularly well endowed, and you can usually tell who they are. Okay.
How can you tell?
You just can.
Go on. I'm intrigued.
I'm not going to... We'll have to go past 3 more watersheds before I can tell you how we know, but we do. You don't
Take me,
have
for
to
instance.
have been round the block several times to make this judgment about First of all, if you see somebody with whom you recognise that you're going to have an instant compatibility, quite frankly, the sex doesn't matter. Never mind about the dimensions. Okay, that's the first thing I would say.
Okay.
And I apart from as men would put it casually, getting your leg over a few times, as far as that goes, of course it's great for bragging rights and it's great for certain sort of matters of the libido, but ultimately men are looking for the same thing that women are looking for, which is love. So,
So the size of it doesn't really matter.
If he didn't have a big heart,
then you've got a problem.
Yeah, and that will have manifested itself by now.
Yeah.
But if he can write an email like that, he's got a big heart.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that that's what women are looking for? Otherwise, how come Aristotle Onassis did so well? Vera Jameson has emailed, if any man touches me without my prior consent, e.g. hugging, kissing, I would consider calling the police. It is a perversion thing. No one should invade my personal space intimately without permission. End of story. Neither of us want to comment on that, do we?
No.
Quick one from... I'll read it, just what it says. I'd be wary of that. Remember the Bulgarian umbrellas.
What?
Tommy and Allison. I bought one of those. This is Martin Davis, I suspect, on the business of the machines that you can buy in the small ads in the back of those men's magazines, which we buy for the articles. He says, I bought one of those £35 kits. No, you didn't. Well, maybe. I'll read the email as he's written it. Together with free pheromone spray to attract women. Result, swollen but not enlarged, rash from gel included, and a slap in the face. A true story, anon. If it's anon, you have to remember that your email name is automatically sent with the email, and I, in my all innocence, will read your name out before it's clear that you want to be anonymous. So, Martin Davis, we know far too much about you now. Matthew Kelly is just an enormous, genuine personality. He's not a comedian, he can't sing, but he's genuine personality. He's very
that's fair enough.
Oh, yes, what's a chav then?
Oh, chav's a new term.
Is it?
Yeah, it's...
Chauvinists.
Oh, no,
God, no.
I'll give you a few examples, like Daniela Westbrook is probably queen of the chav.
Is. Getting fed up yet?
No, but those phones are going crazy.
Crikey. Go on then.
I think I better.
What shall I do with them? And you read out some emails.
Okay, we'll swap seats then, because I can't see the emails from here.
You come around here.
Okay.
You read out some emails. I will go and try and answer the phones. I might completely cock it up, but so what? What's new?
Diane Pearce, I know this will not be read out, but don't you care that one of the people you just endorsed was accused of doing perverse things recently? Have some respect, Diane. Oh, I see. I wondered when these would start. If you missed it, Tommy Boyd mentioned Matthew Kelly earlier. I think you'll find, Dan, he was cleared of all charges. Then we'll leave that one there. Oh, here we go. Give a teenager a spot on Saturday night trash TV and they'll be famous for 15 minutes. Teach them to sing and maybe we can get rid of this rubbish off the telly and put on more James Bond movies badly dubbed into German. Mind you, on second thoughts. Thanks for that, Gary. Well, it beats the old fish and boat wisdom any day. Oh, hang on. I think he might have done it. Let's give him a round of applause. Did you do it?
Yeah, I didn't want to talk to him.
We've had lots of interesting emails. There's one that you might like to have something to say to.
Okay.
It's from Diane Pearce, subject Matthew Kelly.
Yes.
She says, I know this will not be read out, but don't you care that one of the people you just endorsed was accused of doing perverse things recently? Have some respect.
That's an appalling email.
Yes.
It's ignorant of the facts. And I suspect, and I could be wrong, I suspect that there are people, and this emailer may or may not be one of them, I suspect there are people who prefer it when people are found guilty of things that they didn't do, because it makes other people happy to think that other people are horrible, or that other people at least are going to suffer even if they're horrible or not. Matthew Kelly was not found guilty of anything because he has nothing to be found guilty of. He was wrongly accused. And he's an extremely nice man, and decent man. And if I regret... There are a few things that I regret in show business.
Yeah.
A few things I regret. And I worked with Matthew. I'll tell you what a nice guy Matthew is. When I was doing a children's series in Birmingham, it was called The Saturday Show, on Saturday evenings, and Matthew was working out of the same building. They were going to do a series of films in Africa, and it was decided that either I'd go as the presenter or Matthew would go as the presenter. And they asked Matthew to go, which was quite understandable.
Yeah.
For a bunch of reasons. And do you know what Matthew Kelly did?
No.
He rang me up and he said that if it meant a lot to me, he'd drop out and I could go.
Wow.
That was off the top of his head. Because he's that nice a bloke.
Yeah.
He really is that nice a bloke. And you don't meet many nice blokes like that, not just in show business, you don't meet many nice blokes like that in life.
But in show business
in the
especially.
Church, you know.
Yeah,
you know, in the hospitals, you know, you don't meet that many people who are just plain damn hugely nice.
Yeah, and to meet someone in show business who, obviously, he doesn't have a huge ego, to even make that phone call to offer you the chance to go. There's not many people in show business who are like that. What
I regret is that when he was arrested that night in his dressing room at his theatre in Birmingham, that I didn't do. What a friend of mine did do, I mulled it over and I thought, no, I'll just have to wait and see. I know he'll be found innocent, and I know he'll walk, but I don't want to send a letter of communication saying anything, because what can you say? I know you're innocent. What does that mean? So there's that I regret, because he is that nice a person. And the other thing I regret is that there are people who, having no doubt followed the case that I'm sure this email correspondent is talking about, having that person follow that case, that person still has the remnants of the view that Matthew Kelly is somehow some kind of replicate. It's gruesome. It's gruesome. Gruesome. Absolutely gruesome.
Lady P has sent in a definition of the word chav. A chav is another word for a townie, e.g. someone wearing mismatching shell suit, Burberry cap, fake orange suntan, and a bottle of White Lightning cider in the park. They are usually living on council estates on gyros.
I think my son knows which of his friends this refers to. Let's have a quick check on the email from Robert Fletcher. He says, "Hello, Tommy. I still think there are many people who listen to your programme who are still not certain what the word subjective means. The man who thought his penis was small and therefore had no confidence with women should realise that the average size is not all that large. There are men with bigger than average and men with smaller than average. The thought that women might find him laughable is not helped by people making statements about stupid women who say that size matters. You seem to think that is true. Do you have an inferiority problem?" I'm getting tired reading this, Robert. Try and be a bit more concise like other people. I'm not sure you know what you mean yourself. He may find there are many men with the same sized penis as him, and his fear is subjective, all in his mind. I can't be bothered, Robert. Get to the point, sir. A good way to express yourself is to say what your point is and then illustrate it, rather than ramble around a little bit and hope that there's some sort of point going to be found in the middle of it, rather like a nice piece of kidney in your steak and kidney pie. Yeah, I hope people download... Do you realise people download this show off the internet all over planet Earth? I wonder what they're thinking of this. It's you and me, and neither of us know what ourselves we're talking about, never mind about the other bloke. What is your point about Moon River, then? Tommy, I totally agree with you about Sinatra. This is Jason emailing. Have you ever heard him sing "You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You"? And at the tip of a hat here from Jason for Dino, who I assume is Dean Martin, who's... Wow, what a guy. What a guy. And he says you don't get that with Will Young. Exactly, couldn't agree more. Hayden Burns has written something... Hayden, you should be ashamed of yourself, that's all. You know what you've written. And you should be ashamed of yourself. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Hayden, and this is just for you. Because it's clear from what you've written that you have a hope that somebody is less than pleasant. And you have a hope that somebody is going to be caught doing something. And you should ask yourself, you should really go away and spend a lot of time asking yourself why that is in you. Because you don't know enough about yourself to have any opinions at all. You really are not entitled to an opinion until you know yourself reasonably well. Shame on you, sir. Shame, deep shame on you. Don't email me again until you've listened to yourself. Don't listen to me anymore, ever again, until you've listened to yourself and say to yourself, who is that voice? Son, that's you. That is you talking. Tragic business. Sorry I can't read it out, but I wouldn't if I could, actually, and I can't. This is Darren, enjoying the show. This personal space thing and discomfort. We were talking about personal space earlier and how English people have a kind of a personal space thing of about 3 feet. And they get very nervous when people get inside it. This personal space thing makes you wonder how we breed. That's got us all thinking, hasn't it? This personal space thing and discomfort with human contact is a learned trait perpetrated by overzealous, politically correct morons and overprotective parents who've been made that way by the media. Physical closeness is a natural quality that all human beings are born with. However, we learn that it's impolite to get in too close. Good theory, Darren. Thank you for that. Can we just talk about people who email the show for a second, Ali?
Yeah.
You still there, Tony?
Yes.
Good. When people email the show, it's important that as their subject they put Tommy or Bertrand Russell or something. The subject is extremely important when you're emailing a radio show, am I right?
Very.
Because a lot of the emails that I get aren't actually for me.
No.
Hit the brick wall. Can I do a big thank you to everybody who's texted the show tonight? I think emails have always been ahead of texts in terms of contribution to the show, but the texts are coming up on the rails.
Oh, they are.
Having said that, the emails are also tightening and sharpening and getting brilliant. And also we had a terrific switchboard this evening.
Yeah, very good.
So it's a shame we were rubbish.
Speak for yourself.
Alison, I look forward to seeing you next week.
See you then.
Night night.
Bye-bye.
Night night to you.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.